Gemini, welcome to your monthly horoscope for September 2023. In this video, I will walk you through some of the energy that you will be moving through for the month of September. So, coming into the month, we have quite a few planets retrograde. So, we're coming into some really interesting energy. Now, we've been moving through this Venus retrograde energy, which you have Venus retrograde in your third house. And the third house represents community, neighbors, neighborhood, also vehicles, siblings, cousins. But Venus also rules your fifth house of creativity, hobbies, interest, children. And so during this Venus retrograde, you may be rethinking some hobbies, some interests, maybe rethinking some old creative pursuits that you've possibly grown out of touch with and you're wanting to implement them back into your life. Venus also rules your 12th house of spirituality, of subconscious beliefs, patterns, and habits as well. And so during this Venus retrograde, you may also be becoming conscious of those subconscious beliefs, patterns, and habits and reprogramming them in some way. Now, coming into the month, we also have Mercury retrograde in your fourth house of home, family, property, real estate. Mercury is also your chart ruler. So you tend to feel Mercury retrograde more so than some of the other signs. So this is a time where you can have issues with communication. You can have issues with speaking, reading, writing, emailing, texting. You may sign the wrong document. Now, I actually don't recommend signing any contracts, agreements, or documents during Mercury retrograde, especially for you, because this is a time where we may miss something and then something is brought to our attention at the time that Mercury stations direct, and it really prolongs the process of whatever we are trying to get going. There's a lot of miscommunication and misinformation around Mercury retrograde, and Mercury also rules your fourth house too of home and family. And so this is a time where you can be just, reevaluating issues, things, events, themes around home and family, property, real estate. You could be thinking about selling a home or buying a home. Now, we don't want to act on it while Mercury is retrograde, but we can definitely think about it and reflect on it. September 3rd, we have Venus stationing direct. And so, whatever you've been moving through with this Venus energy, when it has to do with your fifth house and your 12th house, we really want to, this is a time where there can be some type of sudden insight or clarity. When a planet stations, whether it's retrograde or direct, there can be something coming in. It can almost even feel like an epiphany, where you all of a sudden just kind of have a knowing or an understanding of the direction that you want to take. It's usually not when we act on it, because Venus is still quite slow, but Venus's energy is quite powerful. And so whatever you've been moving through around, spirituality or your subconscious beliefs, or, getting back into your hobbies, creating something, because the fifth house has to do with creating projects or thinking about creating projects. This is when you can decide, you want to take action on that. September 4th, we have Jupiter stationing retrograde in your 12th house. And the interesting thing about this Jupiter retrograde is that Mercury stationed retrograde over this exact area of your chart the end of April and beginning of May. So if you think back to what you were moving through the end of April and beginning of May of this year, what was brought to your attention, or what were you thinking about? What were you evaluating at that time? You can be something else can come that has to do with that. You can get some insight. There can be some opportunities that you're hearing about when it has to do with whatever you were moving through back then, because it's retrograding over that exact spot. Now, Jupiter also rules your seventh house of relationships and close personal connections, partnerships, business partnerships. And so during this Jupiter retrograde, there may be something brought to your attention as well, with relationships, with partnerships, business partnerships, close personal connections, people in your life. There may be some opportunities coming up with people in your life, but there may be something, coming to your attention. And Jupiter will be retrograde from September 4th to December 30th. So for the remainder of 2023, Jupiter is going to be retrograde. On September 6th, we are going to have the Mercury cazimi here in the fourth house, Mercury being your chart ruler. When we have Mercury combust, which is an energy we will be feeling the first week of September. This is an energy where we can feel brain fog. We can feel lack of clarity, lack of direction. And for you, this can even feel like a lack of motivation, just a brain fog. Your brain is not working properly. There's a lot of information and communication that you're not understanding. It's just a really cloudy, foggy energy for Gemini and also Virgo, because Mercury is your chart ruler. But when Mercury forms at cazimi, there can be a sudden insight or something can just click. It's almost like an epiphany. So this is interesting because Mercury is your chart ruler. Mercury also rules your fourth house. So this can have to do with, themes around you. If there's a new direction that you're wanting to take, if there's something that you're currently moving through that has to do with you, your physical body, your character, your personality, your appearance, or your home and family, this is where something can come in for you that can really help you move through whatever it is that you're moving through at this time. Now, on September 14th, we have the new moon in Virgo at 21 degrees here in your fourth house of home, family, property, real estate. This new moon is forming a trine to Uranus. And because this new moon is in your fourth house, this would be a beautiful time to set intentions around home and family themes and topics. So if you are wanting to redecorate, even if you're wanting to purchase a new home, you can definitely set intentions. Now, if you already watch my videos, you hear me talk about how, usually how I use the monthly lunar cycle, but I also use the 6-month lunar cycle. So whatever intentions I set at the time of the new moon, they tend to come to fruition, especially my larger intentions at the time of the full moon in that same sign. So 6 months from now, let's say you set an intention to buy a home and you follow through and you change your energy, you get on that frequency, you shift your vibration, and you start putting those things into action to do so, you may see that once we have the full moon in Virgo, come the new year, you are purchasing a new home. So that is just an example of how you can use this new moon in Virgo energy. On September 15th, we have Mercury stationing direct. And so this is an energy you will feel because when a planet stations, it becomes extremely powerful. And Mercury being your chart ruler, this is where you can really get some sudden insight, some clarity around something that you're moving through at this time. This is where you can receive some type of information. You can have a conversation with somebody that, that can really help you. And two, because this Mercury is forming this opposition to Saturn, there can be something here with your work. You're possibly having a conversation, maybe wanting to work from home or working from home. There can be something along those lines. And so this can be a time, when Mercury stations, this can be a time where you can receive some information, have a conversation, or even get, an epiphany of, wanting to finally, take action and whatever it is that you've been rethinking and reevaluating when it has to do with you in this new direction, because Mercury is your chart ruler, when it has to do, with your appearance or with your character, your personality, this new life direction that you're wanting to take. This is when you can decide, okay, now I know which direction I want to move in. Now I know how, now I know what I want to do, where to go, how to do it. And so this is when all of that can start to come together for you. September 16th, we have this Venus forming a square. And this is an interesting energy. This is not a new energy. This is an energy that we have all been moving through already. So you've already felt this. Now, Venus rules your 12th house and your 5th house of creativity, children, passions, hobbies, interests. And so this is where something may come up with your children. This can also be when something maybe comes sorry, Mercury retrograde, I can't speak, where something can possibly show up when it has to do with your hobbies, your interests, or some type of creative pursuit. This is also where there can be some type of energy blockage with your spiritual practice. If you've been doing a lot of spiritual work, maybe you're finding it, a little bit challenging on this day to connect. But, either way, this is an energy you've been moving through. So this isn't necessarily anything new showing up for you because Venus has already made a square to this Jupiter before twice, I believe. So I think it has been twice. I think she already formed. I don't know if yeah, she did. I think she already formed a square. Oh, maybe she didn't because Jupiter was back here. Oh no, I can't remember. But anyways, she has been squaring these planets for quite a long time and she's done it 3 times. She'll do it 3 times in total. She did it when she was moving forward and then Venus formed a square again when she retrograded back and then is now squaring Jupiter and Uranus again as she is moving forward back through Leo. And so it is an ongoing energy that you have been moving through since June. On September 19th, we have the Sun forming an opposition to Neptune. And this is quite an interesting energy because, as you can see here, we have a kite configuration. And I've been showing this to all of the signs. And this is a beautiful energy for psychic work, intuitive work, enhancing your intuition, enhancing your psychic abilities because of Pluto, because the apex is Neptune. We can really be focusing on our spiritual practice at this time, our intuition, our energy body, really enhancing our abilities and our intuition. September 19th is really a beautiful day to be doing a lot of spiritual work, meditating. And then once we get to September 20th, we have the Sun form an exact trine to Pluto, really. Pluto's very powerful, very psychic energy. And so this really is beautiful energy to be working with when it has to do with your intuition, any energy work, any spiritual work at all, really. September 23rd, we have the Sun entering Libra, which is in your 5th house. And so now we are starting Libra season and we have the Sun moving through your 5th house, bringing your focus to 5th house themes and topics. So this can be your children, your hobbies, your interests, what you are passionate about, what you do for fun, creativity, creative pursuits. This is where you can be really thinking about, whatever you were kind of reflecting on during that Venus retrograde. Now you are implementing. Now you are getting that going. You're starting to create. You're getting back into your hobbies and your interests and all your passions. On September 28th, we have Venus forming that square to Uranus exact. And again, this is more of that Venus saga energy, whatever you've been moving through with 12th house topics and themes, 5th house topics and themes. This is where you can really just be, something showing up, possibly with your children. Again, this is an energy that you're already in. You've already been moving through this. So it's not necessarily something, too shocking, but it can be something, a little bit unexpected. And then on September 29th, we have the full moon in Aries at 6 degrees and 0 minutes. And so it's not 16 degrees. Don't pay attention to this. The full moon will actually be right here in your 11th house, lighting up this house for you. And the 11th house represents your friendships, your social groups, your online connections, your hopes, your dreams. This can be where you are really thinking about, whatever you are creating, putting it online, whatever you are creating here in the 5th house, sharing it in the 11th. So Gemini, I hope that This horoscope helps you move through the energy for September. I know we are in some sticky energy with all of the retrograde planets, but like I always say, with the awareness, we can move through the energy consciously and effectively. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will connect with you in the next one.